Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Fitness Education Online podcast. I am super excited because we've got a very special guest who's doing very special things all the way across the other side of the world. A little bit about this person. She's a certified personal trainer with an emphasis on training people, or she's a certified cancer exercise trainer as well. So that's her focus. Along with that, she's the program director at Above and Beyond Cancer, which is doing some amazing things there. And that's what I would like to chat about today. But anyways, without further ado, let me introduce Mary. Mary, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for giving me a call all the way over here in Des Moines, Iowa, in the United States. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
No, you're good. It's probably the only way I'll ever meet someone from Des Moines, Iowa. I don't think I've even heard of that place. I don't know where it is, but I know it's nowhere near where I am at the moment. So
Well, I can tell you it's a pretty cool place being here kind of in the heart of the United States.
yeah, because we see on the news Hollywood and Las Vegas. I'm guessing it's a bit different to that, right?
Yes, very different indeed. A lot of cornfields and a lot of pigs.
Sounds better than Hollywood and Las Vegas, I think. Well, Mary, I know there's a lot that you do there, and I know, we're pretty limited in time with this podcast, but I was hoping, I've obviously done a little bit of research, but I was hoping you could tell our listeners, what is it what is Above and Beyond Cancer, and what is it that you do there?
Okay, I love that question. Thank you for asking it. We are a nonprofit that started 10 years ago, and we had a very special birth of our organization. We partnered with a gentleman. His name was Charlie Whitmack, or is Charlie Whitmack. And at the time, he was the first Iowan who had summited Mount Everest. And Charlie Whitmack in 2011 was preparing to do a world triathlon, which he was going to swim across the English Channel, bike from France to Nepal, and summit Mount Everest for a second time. And this world triathlon, he wanted or invited a team of cancer survivors to meet him at the base camp of Mount Everest. So Charlie became the first American to peak and pond. And so Dr. Richard Deming, who is the head of oncology at Mercy Hospital here in Des Moines, Iowa, worked with Charlie Whitmack and I to train a team of cancer survivors and prepare them and lead them to the base camp of Mount Everest. This team of cancer survivors and caregivers, there were 28 of us strong, and it was a 10-day journey to the base camp of Mount Everest, and it was a very life-changing experience to work with cancer survivors, to train and prepare them, some of them just finishing up treatment, some still receiving treatment. We ran from ages, 23, I believe, was the youngest, up to age, I believe, 63 on that trip. So when we got back from that incredible experience, Dr. Richard Deming founded Above and Beyond Cancer. And so since then, we have continued to prepare cancer survivors for transformational journeys. We've taken teams to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro and to Machu Picchu in Peru. We've been to the Colorado Rockies. This year, we plan to do some trekking in the beautiful state of Utah. What else has been really wonderful is we've really dove into the research of cancer survivorship. And since that first journey 10 years ago, I acquired my certification in cancer exercise training. And as an organization, we've developed all these amazing medical evidence-based programs for cancer survivors. So we have many weekly ongoing programs that cancer survivors can participate in for free to help them recover, redefine a life after cancer, and hopefully prevent a second occurrence of cancer. So our model is thriving. It is probably going to be growing outside of Des Moines. And we offer things in person, and we also offer training and classes virtually.
Yes, love that. Okay, and I'd love to go a little bit deeper into that. Just before I do, I'm curious about the business structure, Mary. So being non for profit, is it based on donations? Is there government funding there? How does that side of things work? Is it the patients pay or the clients pay? How does it sort of work?
Yeah, that's a great question. Since we are a nonprofit, we rely on donations or grants. So grant work can be different entities. It might be another another non-for-profit. It could be a state grant. It could be working with federal grants. But yeah, it's all money that's either grant or donations from corporations or people, individual people.
Wow, that's awesome. And the journeys as well. Let's say, someone wants to go to Mount Everest. Is that covered or do they pay out of their own pocket for that?
Yeah, great question. So we help each participant find a fundraising platform.
Gotcha.
So for the transformational journeys, the survivors and caregivers who participate on those, they fundraise, and we do offer scholarships for some people who aren't able to fundraise completely or need help with that. And there are some people who choose to pay completely on their with their own finances and not to fundraise. But the vast majority fundraise and get sponsorship for these transformational journeys that also include medical mission work. We've visited the Kenyatta National Hospital in Nairobi, Kenya, and completed some medical mission work there. We've also visited one of the only cancer clinics in Cusco in Peru. Sometimes our mission may be offering financial donations, helping with cancer treatment technology. Some of it might be painting, planting gardens. And we do symposiums with survivors in the country that we're visiting, and also medical staff as well. So we can kind of all learn what are the universal needs of cancer survivorship around the world. So we've definitely realized that cancer has no borders, and everyone is wanting to thrive and live and cure their disease.
Yes, makes sense. So question on that. If someone's listening in Australia and they're like, you know what, that sounds really cool. I wouldn't mind going along and helping out and experiencing some of that. Or the flip side, they're like, you know what, I've got a client who's a cancer survivor and I think this will be really cool with them. I want to point them in that direction. Is that something we can do from Australia, or is it mainly a American thing?
It's 100% something you can do from Australia. And I would love for some Australians to join our programming. We've had people from all over the United States, and even a woman from France who has participated in our transformational journeys. So those are open, global application process. So any of our transformational journeys, again, applications can be found on our website. And also, if anybody in your community, cancer survivor or someone not diagnosed with cancer, wants to participate in our virtual programming, that can be found on our Facebook page and our website. That is all free and available to them as well.
Awesome. And I'll get all those links and make sure I put them in the show notes. Now, question with the weekly things you're doing, Mary. I'm guessing a lot of that revolves around health in general, obviously, but the exercise and nutrition, yoga, that sort of thing. What can you tell us there? What are you what are the things you're providing for the cancer survivors, and what are the benefits for it, let's say?
Oh, yeah. We really have a big swath. We take the mindset of helping someone find their optimal living, and meaning what is your the best quality of life that you can find today and then the next day. Because clearly we may be working with a cancer survivor who was just diagnosed and they're in the middle of maybe chemotherapy or radiation, or they just came out of surgery. We may also be working with a cancer survivor who has incurable cancer, and maybe they're on a lifetime of oral chemotherapy or oral or ongoing treatment. We may also be working with a survivor who may be 5, 10, 15, 20 years out. So we always say there's a place for every survivor. No matter what chapter you're in your journey, we will meet you where you are and challenge you and promote your well-being in any way that we can. So that being said, we offer a lot. Every cancer survivor is referred by their medical professional, and there is an intake process where we assess where the survivor is and get some basic baseline physical wellness assessments, and then help plug them into the programs that match their goals and also overall what we know about cancer survivorship. So we know with research that nutrition and exercise can prevent up to 40% of a cancer diagnosis.
Wow.
We also know that nutrition and exercise can also prevent a second recurrence of cancer. So we try to have a big swath. So our programming may be anywhere from cycling to weight resistance training, to meditation, yoga, pool therapy or aqua therapy, walking programs, urban programs. We also have nutrition and cooking classes, a book club, an adventure fitness program, and also once a week we offer a weekly cancer education series. So we bring in a lot of educational speakers, and those two are also available on our YouTube channel. So if there's anybody in your demographic or your audience that wants to learn more about a lot of different topics like you're bringing on your podcast, we have those as well available.
Yes, I'll check them out myself. I might get my next couple podcast guests from there, right?
There you go.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So now let's speak about specifically the exercise side of things. And now we'll get a little bit, now we'll speak more about the gym in general. So not necessarily what's going on at above and beyond cancer, but let's say, there's a personal trainer, they're working at a gym and a client walks in and says, hey, I'm a cancer survivor or I've got cancer. Now, there's obviously so many different variables, right? But let's even maybe start the early days. Let's say someone walks in and they're like, hey, I've just been diagnosed from cancer. I've just been diagnosed with cancer. Yeah, I'm on chemotherapy. Would that person go to a commercial gym, or would they have a program prescribed to them by a medical team or something like that?
Well, that's a really good question. And what is really lacking, what we know in the global community, is that not every area has medical-based programming for cancer survivorship. And this is a real need. So if there's not a specialty program for cancer survivorship, and then someone is coming into a regular gym, then it would be nice if the trainer or whoever's working with the cancer survivor has an understanding of what are those issues related to cancer survivorship and how to get to know that particular cancer survivor and what their story is, their journey, where they are right now, and how to modify a plan for that.
Awesome. Okay, got it. The incurable side of things, would it be the same answer there as well?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand, like, what are their current side effects that they're dealing with? What's their pain? Where is their pain? Just like any mainstream client, having a thorough understanding of what's going on with their body, where their pain is coming from, and pulling in any other professionals or team of professionals that can help with that, whether it's physical therapists, massage therapists, lymphedema specialists, registered dietitians, just really pulling in with a good team of resources to come up with the best, safest plan for cancer survivors. My motto always with survivors is, my first job is to keep you safe. My second job is to challenge you. And I personally don't believe that we can keep somebody safe if we really don't know where their medical history is and their current, what is going on with them at that particular chapter.
Gotcha. Okay. So in terms of screening, let's say, for example, you know, a patient comes in, and let's say recovered now, you know, they're 5, 10 years out of being diagnosed, or and now they're feeling good. They go into a gym, they fill out maybe a standard pre-screening form and waiver. Will we always ask for that medical certificate, no matter how far out of cancer they are? We'll always ask for a medical clearance. What's your take on that?
Yeah, Above and Beyond Cancer always asks for a referral, no matter where they are in the stage of the cancer journey, to be part of the medical programming. And we've had people who have been 5 years out and they're in the middle of training for uh, an Ironman,
Mm,
and we still will want a referral from the doctor. And some of the reason is it's not that yeah, to have an understanding that they're medically cleared is important, but also it's creating that relationship with the medical community. And
mm,
it's a way of letting the medical community know, doctors and nurse navigators and the health professionals, that these are the programs that are available, and that and also that you can offer those assessment feedback. So if you're every 3 months approximately is our goal to reassess cancer survivors in our programming. So it builds your efficacy, right? As a trainer or a training facility, that you are doing evidence-based assessments and you have the ability to communicate that back to the medical world, then you can build on one another. You're gaining trust and efficacy with cancer survivors, with oncology professionals, and the community and the donors, because you can show that your programming does have meaning and it's research based and it's making an impact. I remember one of the first years we offered our total training class, and this is an hour-long class that combines some high intensity interval training with weight resistance training, with yoga and meditation and balance. And when a survivor comes in, we will assess them on all those variety of things that we're training for. We'll assess them on body fat percentage. We'll assess them on heart rate, blood pressure, range of motion. I don't know if I've already said muscle mass or not. We'll test them on endurance strength, a wide variety of things. This particular cancer survivor was in the middle of treatment when she started our class. And so she went through treatment primarily during the whole 12-week session. She was a 33-year-old mother of a 2.5-year-old. So she was diagnosed with breast cancer right after her first child was born. And we performed the second assessment, and she improved in every category that we assessed. Her heart improved, her cardiovascular health improved, her muscle mass improved, all in the middle of cancer treatment. So if anything that this job has taught me is the body has an amazing ability, not just to heal, but to grow. And a cancer diagnosis and cancer treatment accelerates the aging process. It is, and what that means is it taxes the heart, it taxes the muscles, it taxes the organs, the bones, etc. So it's therefore even more important for a cancer survivor to get plugged into an exercise and nutrition program, because they have to, or will want to, slow down that accelerated aging process as much as we can. But it can happen. And like I said, I've seen cancer survivors who have come into the program in their mid-60s, and we've increased muscle mass.
Wow.
And they may be on lifelong oral therapy for prostate cancer, which is a challenge because that is affecting testosterone levels. So it's really remarkable. I mean, I know that your audience are trainers, so it's really remarkable the results that we can get with a good evidence-based training program.
Yes. Okay. Question for you here, Mary. And I'm not sure if it can be answered or if there is an answer. Obviously, exercise is good in general, right? It's getting, no matter where, or 99% of people, it's going to be good to do some resistance training. It's going to be good to do some cardio training. It's going to be good to do some balance training. Is there any specific type of training or studies that say, hey, if you do this type of training, you're less likely to have a second incidence of cancer. Or if you do this training here, it's the best thing to do to help your recovery. Or is there anything you can tell us there? Or is there just so many different variables that we can't answer it?
Yeah, that's such a really good question. The American College of Sports Medicine has really done a lot of research to what they call exercise as medicine as their program or their focus. And there's been a fair amount of research denoted to cancer survivorship. In general, in the theme of exercise as medicine, it has been shown that weight training or weight resistance training is one of the best ways to slow down the aging process. So when you're looking at the aging process, when you're losing lean muscle mass and bone density, aging process. So weight training is the best way to counter that. So therefore, weight resistance training, very important for cancer survivors. But also, we don't want to leave out all the work for the heart, because cancer treatment tends to very tax the cardiovascular or their heart, especially if you receive radiation around the chest cavity, or certain chemotherapy drugs may tax the heart as an organ even more so. So really it's combining both of those important things, having regular exercise that includes a weight resistance training program. The recommendation minimum by the American College of Sports Medicine and other cancer organizations like the American Cancer Society or the Cancer Action Network would be a minimum of 150 minutes of moderate exercise every week. And that's kind of the gold standard that we talk about here in the United States, is 150 minutes a week in general for prevention of chronic disease diagnosis. And then a minimum of 2 times a week of weight resistance training. So those are the norms that have come out with research through the American College of Sports Medicine. I personally feel that another additional thing that is really important for everybody's health and well-being, and especially a cancer survivor, anybody who's gone through trauma, is some type of meditation or mindfulness programming. And this is something that our organization feels strongly about. It's something I feel strongly about as a personal trainer who still operates her own personal training business, is to weave that in any way into someone's training protocol, especially if research is telling us that 90% of disease and illness is coming from stress. Then that means that we need to be able to address stress management and emotional regulation and all those things to help heal the body and prevent further diagnoses of other ailments.
Yes. Okay. Makes sense. And then during treatment, say during chemotherapy, still exercise is recommended?
Yeah, there was a research that came out a couple years ago with chair yoga during transfusion. And the research showed that the level of pain, discomfort, anxiety, all of those metrics decreased while someone was literally receiving chemotherapy in the hospital. So definitely we're finding that an exercise prescription during treatment shows to help the person adhere to treatment more effectively. It tends to help reduce pain and discomfort related or decrease side effects related to treatment. So it's very important for cancer survivors to get involved in some way, whether it is starting with walking 5 minutes a day, if that's all they have energy for, or going through some meditation or chair yoga. Those things can be very beneficial for their recovery. And like I said, reducing side effects of treatment.
Yes. Okay. Makes sense. Nutrition, Mary, anything you can tell us there, either in terms of, I mean, it's pretty common. All right. Hey, the smoking's not great. There's obviously some more research coming out in terms of specific foods. Are there any specific foods that are sort of like, hey, if you're a cancer survivor, you want to try and stay away from these or limit these as much as possible? Or is there certain foods that are like, hey, this is really good for fighting cancer? Anything you can tell us there?
Yeah. Well, first I want to say I'm not a registered dietitian. So
Yep.
things I'm going to be sharing are things that we promote through the dietitians that we work with.
Gotcha.
And so I'm going to speak broadly about this. Most definitely, well, alcohol is considered a class 1 carcinogen,
Okay.
and which is the same class that smoking is in. So if that gives
Okay.
you, so in America, we give certain classes of carcinogens, and I don't know if Australia does the
We
same
do.
way. I
Yeah.
apologize
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
being
Yep.
ignorant on that
No, we do. Yep.
realm. So then from there, I would say anything that is has a high glycemic index, that's very sugary, processed, has the anything artificial preserved, those things can all relate to inflammation. And then we know the correlation then with inflammation and tumors, not a good thing. Some research has shown, sugar and increase of sugar can increase tumor growth. A decrease in sugar can show a decrease in tumor growth. So there's definitely been an indication that nutrition is very, very essential. Again, not just for prevention of the first diagnosis, but helping prevent the second diagnosis. There's a lot of relationship to waist to hip ratio, so how we carry our weight. So of course, being overweight or obese will increase chances of being diagnosed with cancer a first and second time. So therefore, nutrition coming in importance for healthy weight management. So yeah, any foods that help reduce inflammation, that are low in sugar, low in processed foods. And then of course, there's been a lot of research related to foods that are naturally good for the liver, for detoxing, that are good for fighting inflammation. I know that, so yeah, there's a variety of things there. So the key is, eating whole foods and eating a variety of whole foods, eating a plant-based, lean protein, nutrition would be what we would be supporting.
Yes, makes sense. There was a big deal a couple of years ago here in Australia about processed meat, specifically bacon. I think that moved up the ranking. So I'm not sure what they were exactly, but it went from like a level 3 or to a level 2 or something like that. Did you have that same incidence over there in the States?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely there was saying that not an overconsumption of processed meats like lunch meats and bacon as well. I believe it's because is it the nitrate? I'd have to look it up again of what is in it specifically, but something that is added to the process of those particular meats. So again, minimizing processed foods in general, including processed meat, instead of a more organic or where things weren't added to that meat source, definitely much healthier. So
And it's good to do anyway, isn't it? Even if you don't have cancer, hey, these are some good things you can do for your health.
oh, most definitely, 100%. And like we said, we know that 40% of cancers are caused by poor nutrition and poor exercise. So which is about related to, when you look at cancer as an ailment and causes of cancer, I feel like you see a lot of similarities to heart disease and diabetes, which are, the 3 major chronic illnesses that people get concerned about with preventing and recovering from. So I feel like a lot of the same advice applies to general well-being. Eat well the vast majority of the time, exercise moderately, aim for that 150 minutes a week, do some weight resistance training, stress management. If we just do the best we can on those areas, we'll really be setting ourselves up for hopefully better longevity and quality of life.
Yes.
But what one thing that above me on cancer, and I also recognize, and I don't know, again, I wish I knew more about Australia's health, and you could probably tell me about that, but we know globally the biggest factor of longevity is zip code. So it's meaning, what is the quality of culture, the food you can get to, your access to facilities, and your access to healthcare. So where you live is the number one factor for your life expectancy. So for us with Above and Beyond Cancer, and as trainers in general, I think we need to be challenging ourselves. How do we make our programs available and affordable to everybody? And that is the key to uplifting the quality of health globally.
Yes, love that. Okay, well, Mary, we're coming to the end of the podcast here, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this are like, okay, this woman is cool, she's inspiring, I love what she's doing. I want to get more into this demographic as well. Where would you recommend a trainer go to learn more? Obviously, they're going to check out your website at Above and Beyond Cancer and see if there's anything they can do there. You've mentioned you're also a certified cancer exercise trainer. Would that be the first step for a fitness trainer who wants to start working with this population, or should they go out and volunteer in certain places? What can you tell us there?
Yeah, I mean, I think if a trainer is really driven to want to specialize in this population, when I say go for it, I find it very rewarding. It's changed my life in so many ways. It's broadened your perspective and gratitude quotient, and so many lovely blessings that come, and of course sorrows. But I would encourage them to get their, they can check out the American College of Sports Medicine. I say that because that's where I earned my certification, and I feel like ACSM is really forward thinking with their research and promoting research, and universities and different entities continuing to research not just cancer survivorship, but exercise as medicine.
Awesome. Okay. All sounds good. Awesome. Well, Mary, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover today. Is there anything I should have asked you but didn't, or anything you want to finish us off with?
No, except I don't know if you heard my dog in the background. So in case you're curious, I've got a big giant dog back here. He's so big. He looks like a little pony, but he's a big black lab. He's been whimpering this whole time. So if you heard him, that's my youngest baby. His name is Gatsby.
I heard a little bit of sound. I'm like, is Mary okay? But then I realized there was the dog.
Yeah, it's like, is that her stomach or what's going on? So yeah, so all you dog lovers out there, I got one staring me down right now, asking me, when are you taking me back outside? So
Awesome. Well, Mary, thank you very much for your time, and we'll be in touch.
thank you.